Honourable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in their sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the effort of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honourable members, there are no messages from His Excellency the President. We do not have a formal communication by the Speaker. Let's proceed to take the item numbered 5, correction of votes and proceedings, an official report. Honourable members, we've not taken the vote and proceedings for Thursday, 6 February 2025. May we do so now. Vote and proceedings of Thursday, 6 February 2025. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Speaker. I think we just got access to this. However, if you check page 9, item 8, under motion, the name of the Majority Chief Whip is wrongly spelled as in Nelson. The Nelson should be checked. It's wrongly spelled. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Member, you are correct. Table of Office, take note. Yes, Honourable Member.
Mr. Speaker, page 7. Members absent. Honourable Inquire Frederick, number 5. He was here yesterday. I was here with him. Thank you.
We are considering 6 February.
6 February.
6 February. Vote and proceedings of 6 February 2025.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Page 9. Honourable Member, the vote and proceedings is on your console. Page 10. page 11, page 12. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the vote and proceedings of Thursday, 6 February 2025 is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, we then move to the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 19 February 2025. Page 1. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I don't remember.
Mr. Speaker, like I said, Honorable Ahinkwaya Frederick, item number 5 on page 7. He was here yesterday. Thank you.
Table office, kindly take note. Page 7, 8. Yes, Honorable Frank Afriye.
Speaker, I'm grateful, and as always, I seek your guidance, Speaker. Page 8, item 7, under statement, Roman number 2. Speaker, I'm not really sure if what is here should stand, but I seek your guidance. If you permit me, I'll read. The Honorable Member for Brekum West, Mr. Dixon Tredua, made a statement on football-related violence resulting in the stabbing to death of a Kotoko fan, Nana Yao Frimpong, during a league match between Nswatreman FC and Asante Kotoko Football Club. I think that since we are dealing with two football clubs or two football teams, it should be plural clubs. But I seek your guidance, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, take note. Page 9. Page 10. Honorable members, the vote and proceedings of the 12th sitting, dated Wednesday, 19 February 2025, as corrected, is adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, official reports. Official report of 6 February 2025. Honorable members, any correction? Honorable members, in the absence of any correction? Yes, Honorable Frank Afriye.
Speaker, I'm grateful. Please, with your indulgence, let me take you to column 30, paragraph 2. And with your leave, Speaker, I read. I agree with my colleagues, the Honorable Minority Chief Whip. I think specific reference is being made to our leader here. So I agree with my colleague, not colleagues. Then I go to column 45, Speaker, with your leave, same. Under paragraph 5, Mr. Speaker, let me commend the maker of the statement, who, as I listen to colleagues, is a proud survivor. I think the word over here should be proud survivor, not survival. And again, Speaker, a bit of education here.
Mr. Speaker, I want to draw my colleagues' attention to something. You should turn to page 2 of the official report. Page 2, not column, page 2. Page 2.
You mean column 2?
The very, not column, the very cover, the cover paper. When you open, first page, 10, you see something written at the top. Yes. You can read that, correction of errors. You've seen that, please? Yes. So just be guided by what is there. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, it says correction of errors of substance may be made only on the floor of the House with the permission of the Speaker. However, correction of typographical or grammatical errors which members suggest for the bound volumes which will be compiled in the end of the meeting may be clearly marked in the daily report and the copy containing the corrections submitted at the editor's office. Parliament has not later than 4 clear days after the publication of the report. So, if the member who made a contribution has anything of substance to introduce, or there was any error, which error is in substance, then that member or you who followed proceedings may, with the leave of Speaker, get that correction done, which is a matter of substance. But for errors in grammar, which we all are sinners, errors, typographical errors, and all those things, the rule is there to guide. And I believe that is what you're doing. I'm not trying to take your industry away, but I'm just trying to guide you, sir. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you very much. I urge members to take note accordingly.
Okay, Speaker, I'm properly guided. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, Honorable Brahma. Honorable Brahma, I thought you were on your feet, but that is okay. Any further corrections? Honorable members, the official report of Thursday, 6 February 2025, as corrected, is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, the official report of Thursday, 11 February 2025. Yes, Honorable Haji Aladi Ayamba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, column 56, second line, the word I used was, the words are stereotyping is one of the issues. Stereotyping is one of the issues, not stereotypes. If that can be corrected. Thank you.
Yes, that is a correction.
Yes, please.
So accordingly, let us be guided, let all of us be guided by what the minority leader has just read. It is also contained in page 2 of this official report. Any further correction? Honourable members, the official report of Tuesday, 11th day of February 2025 has corrected is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honourable members, the next item, following the correction of vote and proceedings and official reports, is statement. Yes, Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I thank you for your indulgence. Speaker, I'm aware the House had programmed the Minister for Energy and Green Transition to apprise us following a statement that was made on the House floor, and the earlier consequential directives were that the Energy Commission was supposed to appear, and at the Business Committee, that was varied at the instance of the Majority Leader, and we're supposed to have the Minister for Energy and Green Transition here. I can't see him here. I've inquired from leadership. There's no indication. The House wishes to know what alternative plans are. Then again, Leader, you bear with me that on our side, we've submitted our names for the composition of our committees, both select and standing. The delay obviously is coming from your side. And this delay, Mr. Speaker, is becoming unacceptable. I think I see deputy leaders looking at me with an assuring gaze. Would he assure this House, or can he give any timeline between today and tomorrow when he can submit, or they can submit their list for us to put finality to this matter? It's denying the House its oversight. It's unacceptable. Speaker, I wish leadership, my colleagues in the majority, to speak to those two important things I've raised. First one is the committee. The second one is the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, who is nowhere to be found. And there's a practice in this House. There's a practice in this House. Is he coming or not? What is the issue? And you have a responsibility to communicate to us and let us know what the challenge of the ministry or the minister is, and for the House to decide whether we will consider that as a good and a tenable excuse or not. Speaker, they need to say something to these issues I've raised.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister came to this House. You know, yesterday we agreed that we'll start proceedings by 10 a.m. So by 10, the Minister was here. The Minister was here by 10 a.m. But because the House did not start proceedings by 10 a.m., and today too is Cabinet Day, so he is attending upon Cabinet. Mr. Speaker,
Honourable members, let's listen to each other in
Cabinet
silence.
meeting today, and the Minister has promised us that he will make himself available from 1 up to 2 o'clock if the House is still in session he will come and brief the House about whatever is happening in his ministry. So many of the members saw him. He came this morning. So, Minority Leader, don't take it that somebody is trying to throw dust into the eyes of the public. The minister was here. I saw him myself. Other members also saw him. And he has promised to come back and brief the House. The issue about the committee composition. At Conclave, I told my colleague, we're almost done. Almost done. Even some issues came up when we were there in respect of other members. So by tomorrow, we will submit the list to the clerk so that they will do the full comparison. Later by Tuesday next week, we'll get the committees in place so that they can start work. So, Minority Chief Whip, rest assured, by next week, Tuesday, we'll get the committees in place and everything will be sorted out. Thank you very much.
Speaker.
Yes,
well,
Minority.
this is a matter ordinarily we will not litigate on. But I will welcome my colleague and we can grant him the benefit of the doubt. He just assumed office as a deputy whip, so we can understand him. However, he should be guided. We are not litigating on whether the minister was here or not. The minister cannot come here and just by mere word of mouth say that I'm going for cabinet and that's it. No. The practice has been that where the minister is unable to appear, the ministry has to write officially. Speaker, that has been the practice. Let's not debate this matter.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I am reliably informed that the sector minister was here. In view of the fact that there was a bit of delay, they actually put it into writing that he would have to attend a cabinet meeting. So I intend to direct that he should be rescheduled for next week at 11, not at 10.
Speaker, that's fair. On the matter of the committees, I think my good friend needs a good briefing from his boss, and that's needs a good briefing from his boss, the chief whip. Because 2 weeks ago, as you were the one who was presiding. You were presiding then. He carried 2 big fat files that they were done with their side. The motion, can you give that indication?
Mr. Speaker, my colleague is not trying to be fair to me because he's aware, even at the Conclave, some issues came up and we needed to incorporate all those issues. So just take my word. We'll submit the list by close of work tomorrow. Early next week, selection committee will meet so that we'll incorporate everything and then we'll get it done. So don't worry. We'll put the committees in place because very soon the budget will be read and we need the committees to do those estimates and then program them to do other things. So don't worry. We'll get the committees in place. You know, we are forming our government. Do you understand? Yes. Yes. And it's on record time. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, no, it has effect on the composition of committees. You can't put somebody as a chairperson, the next day the person is made a minister. You have to come back and amend the report and all that. Do you understand? So, at least, bear with us. Next week, we'll put the committees in place. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Yes, Honourable Member for Procedural.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, this House is governed by our standing orders. And if the very people who pass these standing orders, we don't want to respect it, then I don't know what else we can respect again. Order 2042, 2052, 2052 is clear on the matter.
That Honourable Member read.
Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I want to read Order 2052. The Committee of Selection shall prepare and report to the House within the first 10 sitting days after appointment the list of members to compose the standing and the select committees of the House. Mr. Speaker, this House,
Who is the chairman of the selection committee?
well, it's Mr. Speaker who is the chairman of the selection committee. And once you are sitting, I assume that you are the chairman. I assume that you are the chairman.
So, by procedure, what happened if you are not able to comply with the timeline?
Well, Mr. Speaker,
you seek leave of the speaker.
Yes,
So, speaker should seek his own leave.
I'm drawing your attention that this is our own standing orders, and therefore we have to respect it and make sure. I mean, I agree with colleagues, all their submissions are okay, but, Mr. Speaker, we cannot be delaying on these matters. We need to put a closure on it. There should be a definite date for us to complete this, because it brings a lot of put members on suspense and all those. We need to be able to conclude this matter. And I believe with your good self and how you are deliberate on certain matters, I'm sure you will ensure this thing is done so that everybody will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, thank you very much for. Yes, Honourable Nyindam.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
On which of the issues?
On the same issues on the committee. Mr. Speaker, I can see most at times, even when statements are made in this House, you struggle because some of these statements, you want to refer them to the appropriate committees so that we can all look at them and recommendations coming out from those statements. But because these committees are not in place, Mr. Speaker, sometimes these statements are left hanging. I know it's a concern to you. We appreciate the position the majority find themselves. I have been there before and I appreciate it. But Mr. Speaker, it's been long overdue. And I listened to my colleague, the deputy whip. He was struggling. The assurances he's given are not assuring enough. No, they are not assuring enough. And Mr. Speaker, I want you to hold him responsible for what he said. That is where I am coming from. Mr. Speaker, he says tomorrow, finishing will be done, and by Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, the committees will be in this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to you to hold him. The chief whip just entered, and he should not muddy the waters, because I know he's preparing to say something. Your deputy has already assured us, Mr. Speaker, that tomorrow and Monday, the committees will be formed. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to you to hold him responsible so that on Tuesday, they don't come back here and give us stories. In any case, Mr. Speaker, the appointments are almost done. They are just left with four persons. And I'm sure by now they know themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, don't use that as an excuse. I met a friend and he was telling me by Tuesday that 4 will come. So those of you who haven't heard your names, don't hope. It's over. Mr. Speaker, it's over. Don't hope. So that you can take over some of these committees, and then, God's willing, we all do our oversight responsibility properly with the committees. Mr. Speaker, thank you for indulging me. I'm grateful. Mr. Speaker, I told you. You see that the chief will want to muddy the waters. Mr. Speaker, don't allow him to muddy the waters. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I thank you, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to this matter assuringly. Speaker, I am in my 9th year in this House, and this is one of the periods that we are constituting institutions to enable the organ of parliament function with alacrity. This is just February, Mr. Speaker. Committees have been formed. The rest are about to be formed. Speaker, even you have made referrals to committees. And those referrals will be attended to, a report will be presented. So the picture shouldn't be painted that Parliament is incapacitated, is unable to perform its functions. Speaker, indeed. You know that even questions are one of the methods by which we exercise oversight. Mr. Speaker, for next week alone, we have over 18 questions slated for ministers to come and respond. So Mr. Speaker, I am responding to these matters because the Honorable Nyindam, the member for Mandai, made the point that the power of members to exercise their oversight is being taken away because committees have not been constituted. But that cannot be the case. But having said this, Mr. Speaker, our committees, our side, the numbers are set. We will submit them to the clerk to set. Yes, almost set. It is midday. We are set. We'll submit it to clerk, and I'm sure that the committee of selection would meet by tomorrow. The Speaker is the chair. We'll meet by tomorrow or Monday, and by Tuesday the report will be laid and taken. And this matter can be put to rest. And I see that anytime my brother realizes I'm not here, then he goes to town and he comes after me. And I believe that it shouldn't be so. So I want to assure them, Mr. Speaker, we're in February. We'll constitute our committees properly speaking, so work can be done. We are in February. We are not late at all. Last Parliament, you constitute your committees in March. I was here. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Speaker, well, honourable members, honourable minority whip, with all due respect, you have raised the issue. It's been deliberated upon, and we've been given some assurance that the report will be laid on Tuesday and taken the same day. Let's hold them to their words, hoping that the report will really be laid on Tuesday and taken the same day. So,
just to add that my colleague said we have 18 questions before the House, and this House has a record. That is not a fact. We don't have questions admitted yet. He may be referring to a consideration we had at the Business Committee, but that report is not a plenary, and it has not been accepted. It has not been adopted. So don't say that 18 questions have been adopted or are before the House. They are not. That's what he said. That's what he actually said.
Speaker, with your leave.
Honourable members,
yes.
Honourable Majority Whip, yes. With all due respect, I don't want us to belabor this point. You have given us the assurance that Tuesday the report will be laid and taken. Let's just don't belabor it.
Speaker, I'm not belaboring the point. Just because I said slated.
On the issue of the energy,
slated for next week.
On the issue of the energy minister, I would direct the clerk to reprogram the energy minister for next week at 11. Honourable members, I'm talking about next week in the sense that after tomorrow, the next available date will be next week. This is a man who wrote to Parliament that he's attending a cabinet meeting. We do not know the matters that will ensue at cabinet. So let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's give the benefit of the doubt so that we program him for next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much, honourable members. Yes, honourable minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, just to put matters in proper perspective and without litigating Same. The minister wrote to us that he would come today. And we have just been informed that because of cabinet commitment, he's left us and he says he will come later in the afternoon. Of course, cabinet, we can't be sure. So I agree with you. But Mr. Speaker, just for the records, that in going, he only left a message with the Deputy Majority Whip. I don't know whether you've received a new letter this morning. So I just want clarity whether you have a new letter.
That he will be here to answer questions. He was actually here, but we delay in sitting, and he had to go for cabinet meeting. And as a result, I am directing that he be programmed to appear before the House next week, Tuesday.
To assist you, you said he's written a letter. That's why I wanted clarity, that the letter was for him to come today, but he hasn't written a new letter. So I agree with you, except that I just want to help you in the circumstance, because this is a house of record. This is a house of record, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Chief Whip, on which matter?
On this matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed, when the minister came...
Honorable Majority Leader, this matter, Majority Chief Whip,
yes,
this matter has been decided, based on which I have even directed that the minister be programmed to appear next week, Tuesday. So I think that puts the matter to rest.
Mr. Speaker, it does not. He's urging that it be brought tomorrow, Friday. And I want to give information. When the minister
Honorable Majority Chief Whip, I have given direction that he be programmed to appear before the House next week.
Mr.
So
Speaker,
my direction is next week, Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, but let me give information, because I attempted to read the minority leader for us to have an agreement even before coming to you. But he couldn't answer the call. That's all that I wanted to provide.
Very well.
That when the minister came,
yes,
and was about to leave for cabinet, I actually reached out so I could have an understanding with him. No, to you, on your phone.
Please address the chair.
Mr. Speaker, I called him I called you so that we could have reached an agreement. Then when we come to the floor, we would have agreed with you as to when he should return next week. So he was here. So I agreed that you've already given direction. But just to indicate that I attempted to reach him, to let him know that this was the circumstances that the minister found himself, and that he would not be able to address the House as scheduled. But I couldn't get him on the phone.
Yes, we've been informed accordingly by the Deputy Whip.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Honorable members, we have a statement on social justice, and 3 members have written statement on social justice. Honorable members, I want us to take the 3 statements together. One is in the name of Honorable Phyllis Na Koyo Okuno, Member of Parliament, Ewutu Senya, East Constituency, on the occasion of the World Day of Social Justice. We also have statement by Honorable Alassane Kobina Gansa to mark the World Day of Social Justice, and another statement in the name of Honorable Francis Kobina Brimpom Owusu Achiao, Member of Parliament for Joaben. Honorable members, we may be taking these 3 statements together. In the meantime, Honorable Minority Leader indicated there was escalating situation of cholera in his constituency, and he will want to inform the House. So, Honorable Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I again thank you for the opportunity to bring this matter again to the national space. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I visited the Winneba Government Hospital. I was involved in a number of public education programs. And the situation at the treatment center is not good at all, to put it in simple language. The water is not flowing in the whole hospital. The doctors and nurses complain of shortage of water. So far, although the Minister of Health has visited the Winneba Health Directorate, but nothing has been given to them by way of logistical support. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I had to buy additional 100 mattresses for them, and I have released another 100,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the situation is really getting out of hand. Yes, I've released 100,000 Ghana cedis last week for them. And Mr. Speaker, again, another 100,000 Ghana cedis has been released. The PPEs, Mr. Speaker, are in short supply. They don't have it. Although a health minister was there, the regional directorate is yet to provide logistical support. Mr. Speaker, Winneba is a commercial center. People come from all over the region, all over the country to trade in Winneba. So it shouldn't be seen as a Winneba problem. Until recently, cholera was elsewhere, and now it's in Winneba. If it is not properly contained, it may get out of hand and may become a major national health issue. I am using this platform to again appeal to government to intervene. The health professionals are stressed. People are in distress. They need medication. They need vaccination. They are exposed. In fact, the male ward of the Winneba Government Hospital has been converted into a cholera treatment center. They've also set up a tent outside to receive new cases. Children are going through this trauma. The aged are the most affected. Mr. Speaker, it's not a palatable scene. I've uploaded some of the pictures on my social media handle. I didn't really capture those on sick beds because it's very pathetic. Government would have to come in to support. And I'm also appealing to agencies in the health sector, as well as those in the business of mechanizing PPEs, to come to the aid of the health facilities in Winneba. It's all they need. The pharmaceuticals. It's a humble appeal to them to support those in need. Because, Mr. Speaker, like I said, there are traders from Procedural who come to Winneba. Winneba has 2 market days, Tuesdays and Fridays. The people buy the fish from the Inshona. The fishermen are still bringing their catch. The landing beach is yet to be commissioned. So the fish is still exposed. And the very people who are trading are the ones who are selling for us to eat. So those in Kaswa, those in Mankesim, if care is not taken, Mr. Speaker, we will be telling another story. So it is a very humble appeal. I pray that we move in to intervene. And I'm appealing to colleague members of parliament, the members who are here. This is not a Futu's problem. It is our problem. When I hear of challenges in your backyard, you know how I come in to support you. We are not launching an appeal for fun, but I'm calling on colleagues, do your own small contribution and support Efutu. When Honorable Ablakwa had the flood situation in his constituency, I gave 50,000. It's a matter of public record. He announced it in this chamber to Honorable Ablakwa for his constituents. I gave 50,000. And all of you, you know, those of you who get challenges in your constituency, I don't leave you naked. Charity in times like this is very important. So, honorable majority members, this side we are in opposition. You are in government. You should donate handsomely to support your leader's cause, because the people there are suffering. Manka there, or ye futufo, wanasam, onye edinafo, onye jumakofo, onye igwefo one problem. Oka inhina enyo prunsu. Oka inhina enyo oprunsu. Inti sendo ye futua. Ochina obokwe kodo akachi south. Mr. Speaker, in other words, I'm saying that.
Honorable Minority Leader, don't invite me to the debate.
Not at all. Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to say is that, no one individual is an island. You know, when rain falls, as Ola Rotimi said, in the gods are not to blame. It doesn't fall on one roof only. It falls on every roof. So, Mr. Speaker, it is a Futu. But the nature of the situation is such that it can have a spiral effect in various communities. So we have to contain it. And I'm hereby launching a special appeal for my friends to contribute handsomely, because we never know when an Akachi trader will come to a Futu and he may go back or she may go back, and there may be a problem. So if we contain it, and the traders from Akachi who come to a Futu to trade get into trouble and they are contained, there wouldn't be any spread. So I'm calling not only the central region brothers and sisters here, but the entire house. Please come to my aid and come handsomely. We need logistics, we need medication, we need mattresses, we need tents, we need money to support them. Those who go through the challenge, when they are discharged, even food to eat is a problem. So if you have rice, you have sugar, you have milk, anything, please donate. Mosquito nets, donate them. The liquid soap, we need support for our vulnerable compatriots at the Inshona. Please come to the aid of Efutu, and please come to their aid through me, and it shall be thankfully received and faithfully applied. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, He's just bringing the information to our notice. I intend not to open the floor for comment. Honourable members, the minister responsible for health, our colleague, Honourable Commander Minta Akando, was in the House to brief us about the situation on cholera and meningitis. The House has taken note of his briefing. If in between the situation is escalating in a particular constituency, what we need to do is to personally reach out to him and bring to his notice that the situation is particularly escalating in a Futu constituency. And therefore, there is a need to pay urgent attention to it. Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Kobna Minta Akando, the minister responsible for health, is our colleague. I will reach out to him, and I will plead with you to also personally reach out to him so that the situation can be addressed. And in view of the fact that when he was here to brief the House, members had the opportunity to contribute and make comment to the issue, today I intend not to open the floor for comment. However, there is a special appeal to members of Parliament. Let's take note of the appeal and support the minority leader to address the situation. It is true, you may never know when a trader from your constituency will visit his constituency and go back to the constituency with the disease. So the earlier the situation is addressed in his constituency, the better it is for all of us. Honourable members, I thank you very much for your indulgence. And honourable members, let's move to the statement on the social justice. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think you've almost taken the sail out of our way. But I think just to support what my honorable brother is saying, the minister was here on Tuesday, as you have rightly said. And from all indication, the Ministry of Health is on the ground. There are structures that some of these things can actually be passed through. The appeal the honorable leader is making is a good one. I mean, the government is doing what the government is supposed to do, but yet, in many places, as it is in the Futu, in Cape Coast, people are supporting this. So I think his appeal is fair, but I don't think we'll have to give any indication that the government is not on top of this issue. But the government is actually on top. The minister was here to explain to us exactly what is happening. And I can tell you, on authority in the central region, that the situation is under control. Structures are there, and they are in Winnipeg as well. So my honorable brother is close to things, as we all are. And if it is appeal of people from the private sector or something coming to help, fair enough. But the minister is on the ground, the Ministry of Health is on the ground, and obviously things with Cholera, is something that is fluid. The minister was here on Tuesday. Yes, things probably have changed, a bit. Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean, I can tell you that in Cape Coast, they've been given tests. So I don't know why things, that's what I'm saying. We are talking about central region here, and we are under one directorate. So I don't know how Cape Coast can get things and Winneba wouldn't get them under the same health directorate. So I'm just want to appeal to my brother that we should use the structures that the minister came here to eloquently, tell us on what they are doing. The ministry, the government is on the ground. The minister is on the ground. Structures are in place to deal with these things. So we need to make the structures work and follow the structures. Appeal from the private sector or from others who can support, because this affects all of us. And as he rightly said, it could be, place A today, it can be in place B tomorrow. So we all need to be vigilant on this. But I want to give I don't want us to live here with the impression that the government is not on the ground and that the minister is not in control. The minister is in absolute control with structures in place to deal with this. If there are some challenges or things that has probably happened between the time he came here to speak and now, I think we need to communicate to the appropriate channels to deal with it as they already are doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Majority Leader. Honorable members, we have students from some educational institutions visiting the House. They are from the following institutions: National College of Defense Studies, led by General Aite, Commandant, and Brigadier General Fred Ntri, Deputy Commander. Professor John Akopari, Dean. We also have Aggies Preparatory School here with us. They are led by Pobi Abiu, administrator of the school. They are from Anyas Otum. They are 80 in number. And then the National College of Defense, they are 44. We also have students from Nsawara Ejumafo Senior High School, led by Mr. Prince Matthias, leader. They are from Akotombra. They are 90 in number. And Holy Trinity Local School is also here, led by Vivian Boatin, executive manager. They are from Kwadaso. They are 50 in number. Honorable members, on behalf of the House and on my own behalf, I wish our students a fruitful visit to the House. Honorable members, we then proceed to take our joint statement, starting from Honorable Francis Kobana Brimpong Owusu Achao, Member of Parliament for Joabeng. You have the floor.
Speaker, if you may, shall we proceed to the next statement?
Honourable members, there's a similar statement in honor of Phyllis Na Koyo Okuno. Is the honourable member present in the House? If you are, you have
present,
the floor.
Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to speak on the occasion of the World Day for Social Justice. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to rise and make this statement on the floor of this August House in commemoration of the World Day for Social Justice, a day set aside by the United Nations for nations to reflect on the fundamental principles of fairness, equity, and human dignity in our societies. Social justice is at the heart of every serious and thriving democracy, and for us in Ghana, it must be viewed as an essential pillar for the pursuit of national and inclusive development for all. In 2027, the UN established the World Day for Social Justice and first observed the day in 2009 to promote social justice by addressing issues of poverty, inequality, unemployment, and human rights violations. Since then, the term social justice has featured prominently in the literature of conversations about social justices and sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, this year's celebration is on the theme, Empowering Inclusion, Bridging Gaps for Social Justice. The theme calls for the need to urgently implement inclusive policies and social protection systems to address various forms of inequities in the country. Mr. Speaker, the struggle for social justice in Africa, and more especially Ghana, is deeply rooted in history and dates back in the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885. The aftermath of the Berlin Conference saw partitioning of African without recourse to indigenous populations. Subsequently, centuries of oppressions through enslavement and colonialism followed with the exploitation of Africa under colonial rule, perpetuating a systematic economic and social injustice that continues to affect the progress of the continent today. However, Mr. Speaker, the tide began to turn when the dawn of independence movements across Africa. Ghana, under the leadership of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, became the first sub-Saharan African country to achieve independence in 6th March 1957. This marked a significant step towards emancipation and dismantling oppressive colonial structures, and building a more just and equitable society. Since then, Ghana has made notable progress in areas such as education, the free education for Northern Ghana under Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, healthcare, political participation, and economic empowerment, and yet the fight for true social justice remains unfinished as many inequalities persist in our society today. Now, to the current trends of social justice issues in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, strides have been made, and yet Ghana continues to grapple with serious social justice issues, which call for urgent attention and sustained actions to curb rising inequalities and inequities as a result of our difficult economic conditions. Mr. Speaker, permit me to highlight some current issues in the area of social justice. Democracy and human rights violation. The arrest of the Democracy Hub protesters in recent years and illegal arrests, and my illegal arrests have raised concerns about the shrinking civic space and respect for fundamental freedoms. The right to peaceful assembly and free expression of our cornerstones of our democracy and must be upheld at all times. The tragic death of 8 Guineans and shooting at me in the 2020 elections due to election-related violence remains unresolved. Furthermore, similar concerns have arisen in the 2024 elections, where lives again were lost, especially in the Ewutu-Senya East constituency, Kaswa. It is imperative that justice is served for the victims and their families. Now, with the rising economic hardship and inequalities, the economic downturn following the 2022 financial crisis pushed more than 800,000 Ghanaians into extreme poverty, according to the World Bank report in 2023. The Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP, resulted in severe financial losses, popularly known as the haircuts, for domestic bondholders, many of whom are pensioners and working-class Ghanaians who relied on these investments for their livelihood. Unemployment and job scarcity continue to threaten the economic security of millions, particularly the youth. Many highly educated graduates struggle to find decent jobs, contributing to rising frustration and social unrest. This phenomenon, Mr. Speaker, has been designated as a national security threat by analysts within civil society, and government. Now, the lack of access to essential service is also a major issue. Affordable housing remains out of reach for many ordinary Ghanaians due to skyrocketing rent prices and the absence of comprehensive housing policy. And also access to quality healthcare, education, and social welfare is still a major challenge, with inequalities persisting in both urban and rural communities. Government is committed to social justice. Mr. Speaker, the new His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman's administration, sworn into office on 7th January 2025, is fully committed to addressing these pressing issues of advancing social justice for Ghanaians. The government is determined to implement bold, people-centered policies aimed at creating economic opportunities, reducing inequalities, and promoting fairness in society. Permit me to highlight some of the key interventions the current regime is committed to implementing in the pursuit of social justice for Ghanaians of all facets of life. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy policy is a mega transformative policy for the new administration. The President has appointed the distinguished Mr. Guzitano to head the coordination and implementation of the policy from the Office of the President, and it is aimed at creating more decent and sustainable jobs for maximizing economic productivity throughout the day and night, ensuring expanded employment opportunities for all. The Money Your policy is a social security policy for informal sector workers, and it is aimed at ensuring workers in the informal sector have financial security upon reaching the age of 60. This will safeguard the future of millions of Ghanaians engaged in informal employment. Mr. Speaker, I would call on the Finance Minister and the implementing ministry responsible for this policy to make swiftly and set in motion to secure the social security of informal workers in the country. Mr. Speaker, the No Fee Stress policy, which is an initiative designed to eliminate financial barriers for first-year tertiary students, will ensure higher education is made more accessible to all, irrespective of one's financial background. There are already indications that this policy would feature in the 2025 budget and economic statements of government. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of social justice, victims of election violence, President John Dramani Mahama has directed the Inspector General of Police to commence investigations into the death related in the 2020 and 2024 elections. Those responsible must be held accountable, and the affected families must receive compensations and closure. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, On this World Day of Social Justice, let us reaffirm our collective responsibility to build the Ghana that is fair, just, and inclusive. A Ghana where no one is left behind due to their socio-economic background, political affiliation, or location. Social justice is not merely an abstract concept. It is a lived reality that determines the quality of life of millions. As representatives of the people, we must ensure that our policies, laws, and governance structure reflect our commitment to fairness, equity, and human dignity. Let us work collectively to bridge the gaps and empower inclusion for the more and prosperous Ghana. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting the good people of Ewutu Senya East this great opportunity for their voices to be heard on this important day of commemorating the World Day for Social Justice for All. Thank you once again.
Honourable members, I shall proceed to give the floor to Honourable Alassane Kobina Gansa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make these statements. The World Day of Social Justice, celebrated by many nations worldwide, is observed annually on February 20th. The date was established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007 and first celebrated in 2009. The day aims to promote social justice, addressing issues such as poverty, exclusion, unemployment, gender inequality, and human rights violations. The United Nations emphasizes that social justice is essential for achieving peace and security globally. Mr. Speaker, the theme for this year's celebration is Empowering Inclusion, Bridging Gaps for Social Justice, which emphasizes the necessity for inclusive policies and social protections to combat systemic inequalities. The United Nations' commitment to social justice is evident through various initiatives, including the Social Protection Fraud Initiative, which aims to ensure basic social guarantees for all individuals. Mr. Speaker, the importance of social justice has been underscored by various international frameworks, including the International Labour Organization's Declaration on Social Justice for a Fair Globalization, adopted in 2008. The observance also aligns with several sustainable development goals, particularly Goal 1, which involves eradicating poverty in all its forms. Goal 5, that promotes achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls in society. Goal 8, which encompasses promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth. And Goal 10, which emphasizes reducing inequalities within and among countries. Mr. Speaker, this is reflected in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948, which outlines fundamental human rights that promote dignity, equality, and fairness for all. Mr. Speaker, Ghana, as an active member of the United Nations, embraces this day to reinforce its commitment to social justice within the context of its socio-economic challenges and development aspirations. Social justice in Ghana has made considerable strides in its commitment to human rights and social equity, particularly in recent decades. Mr. Speaker, Ghana faces significant challenges in achieving full social justice for all of its citizens. Issues like poverty, gender inequality, youth unemployment, and access to education remain critical concerns. For instance, rural communities often experience limited access to essential services such as healthcare, education, and clean water. In response to these challenges, Ghana has implemented several social policies and programs aimed at improving the welfare of its citizens. These include the National Social Protection Policy, which aims to reduce poverty and inequality through various safety nets, such as the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate that some organizations in Ghana, such as the CHRAJ, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, National Commission for Civic Education, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ghana Integrity Initiative, Center for Democratic Development, ISODEC, Integrated Social Development Center, Action Aid Ghana, Ghana Bar Association, Ghana Journalists Association, Ghana Trades Union Congress are supporting the agenda to achieve these successes. On this day, the Ghanaian government, in collaboration with the United Nations and other international organizations, highlights its commitment to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and also serve as an opportunity to remind citizens, policymakers, and global stakeholders that the fight for social justice is an ongoing process that requires collective action. Mr. Speaker, there are some other challenges in addressing some of these social justices, and the government, civil society, and individuals must work together to promote social justice and human rights for all. However, this requires a multifaceted approach that includes promoting inclusive and equitable economic growth, strengthening social protection systems, advancing human rights and the rule of law, empowering marginalized and vulnerable populations in society. Mr. Speaker, despite these efforts, social injustice remains a significant challenge in Ghana and some parts of the world. The country continues to grapple with issues such as poverty, inequality, and unemployment, which disproportionately affect vulnerable populations, including women, children, and persons with disabilities. The recent plan by President Donald Trump of the United States of America to take over the Palestinian settlements in the Gaza Strip is unfortunately a clear indication of the non-existence of social justice. And Mr. Speaker, I call on the United Nations to seriously consider and address these issues. Pope Paul VI once positively declared that development is the new name for peace, emphasizing that excessive economic, social, and cultural inequalities among peoples arouse tensions and conflicts and are a danger to peace. This is at the heart of social justice across the nations of this world, which must be observed. Mr. Speaker, World Day of Social Justice 2025 represents a crucial opportunity for nations like Ghana to reaffirm their commitment to social equity by focusing on inclusion and bridging gaps in society, both globally and locally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable members, is Honorable Francis Kobina Brempong also a channel now
in the House.
Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you, Honorable Aqua would do so on his behalf, and some emergencies have kept him outside of the chamber.
Very well, very well. Today is a World Social Justice Day, so I'll permit that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to read this statement on behalf of my colleague who is not available. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members of the House, it is an honor to stand before you today on the occasion of World Social Justice Day, a day that reminds us of our duty to build a fair and just society where all citizens have equal opportunities, irrespective of their background. Social justice is the foundation of national development, peace, and stability. It is about ensuring that every Ghanaian, regardless of gender, ethnicity, social, economic status, or physical ability, can enjoy the fundamental rights enshrined in our 1992 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, permit me to recall the words spoken on the floor of this House by former President, His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor, during his first State of the Nation address to Parliament. Our esteemed former President stated, if our plans to revive the economy are to have any chance of success, we must at the same time invest in our young people. And my government believes that education holds the key. Equal access to educational opportunities is in the long run the principal instrument for achieving social justice. The present imbalance in volume and quality of the educational facilities available to urban as against the rural population is creating the social divide which our government would act decisively in reverse, end quote. Mr. Speaker, these words were true 24 years ago, and they are even more relevant today. Mr. Speaker, it is without doubt that education remains a powerful tool for promoting social justice, and our Constitution guarantees the rights under Article 25(1) of the 1992 Constitution, which states that all persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities. The landmark case of Federation of Youth Association of Ghana versus Public Universities of Ghana and others highlighted the need for public institutions to uphold fairness in admission and access to education. The ruling reinforced that public education must be accessible to all, regardless of their social status. Mr. Speaker, beyond education, the Constitution of Ghana is also clear in its commitment to social justice with respect to guaranteeing human rights. Specifically, Article 12(1) of the 1992 Constitution provides that the fundamental human rights and freedoms enshrined in Chapter 5. Yes.
Honourable member, continue. Honourable member, continue. He can sit by him, but let him continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, education. The Constitution of Ghana is also clear. Mr. Speaker, I crave your indulgence. Once the maker of the statement is in, I seek your leave to let him continue.
Leave hereby granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay. From paragraph 4. Mr. Speaker, beyond education of the Constitution of Ghana, it's also clear in its commitment and its commitment to social justice with respect to guaranteeing human rights. Specifically, Article 12(1) of the 1992 Constitution provides that the fundamental human rights and freedoms enshrined in Chapter 5 shall be respected and upheld by the executive, legislature, judiciary, and all other organs of government and its agencies, and that instructs every person in Ghana, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender, to be entitled to the fundamental human rights and freedom of individual, but subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interest. Mr. Speaker, social justice is also extends to economic rights and fair labor practices. Article 24, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution guarantees the right to work under satisfactory, safe, and healthy conditions, while directing that state to take measures to ensure an economic system that provides equal opportunities for all. Mr. Speaker, access to justice and due process is a cornerstone for social justice. The Constitution under Article 19 and 296 guarantees the right to a fair trial and due process, ensuring that no one is deprived of justice due to their economic or social status. In the case of Chayuchi-Kata versus the Republic, the Supreme Court reinforced the principle of fairness, fair trial, and due process, reminding us that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. Mr. Speaker, as we observe Social Justice Day, let us recommit ourselves to policies and legislative reforms that uphold these constitutional principles. We must strengthen equality before the law in all state actions, promote inclusive economic growth, and ensure that no Ghanaian is left behind. Social justice is not just a legal obligation, but a moral duty that defines the character of our dear nation. Mr. Speaker, may God bless Ghana, and may justice and fairness be foundation of our development. I am grateful for the opportunity, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, the three statements have been taken jointly. I will then open the floor for comment, subject to Order 93.5. So, Honorable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would want to commend the makers of the statement, the three honorable members. Mr. Speaker, there was this young little girl who was made by a priest, and the question to the girl was, are you a Christian, a Muslim, or a Hindu? What the little girl said was, I am hungry. Poverty knows no religion. Poverty knows no political or party affiliation. It is in this vein, respectfully, that I commend the makers of this statement, drawing our attention that with a collective effort, as a people, we would all have to stand up against social injustices. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, if we talk about fairness, which is imbued in social justice, it is a behavior without discrimination. Not discriminating against any person because the person is either black, white, of any religious affiliation. Respectfully, justice is giving fair treatment to every person. If you look at the framers of our Constitution, looking at chapter 5 and chapter 6 of our Constitution, it is all meant to ensure that human dignity is protected and uplifted. And I would want to join the world in celebrating the Social Justice Day. Mr. Speaker, if we talk about social justice, we are looking at not discriminating against persons. We are looking at access to basic needs by persons living in the state. We are looking at access to education. We are looking at job opportunities, financial resources. Every person should have access to rights to financial resources, access to public schools. And I want to commend thank you. I want to commend all of us. They are not intimidated. They can't intimidate me.
Address the chair.
Respectfully, I want to commend all of us for whatever we're doing to ensure that we protect and lift the image of our human race as a people. Respectfully, when the minority leader raised the issue of cholera, he informed the House about the strides he is making to ensure that his people are protected from that disease. And I would want to offer him a little advice and support that it all boils down to education. If we educate our people as to how to go about making sure that sanitation is right, we would ensure that it is eradicated. That respectfully, I had same experience in my constituency, Kwesimintim constituency, when many people, about 8 of the people died. But for the swift attention of the doctors and the medical caregivers over there, we would have lost more. But I went down, we educated the people that wash your hands. Make sure that you eat food that is hot. Make sure that you disinfect those areas where the people are. So I would want to advise my honorable minority leader that it is not about beds, it is not about the rights, it is about cleanliness. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by others. But Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
From Reprisal, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the makers of this statement. Mr. Speaker, indeed, today, February 20th, marks the day for social justice. And if you look at the theme for the day, empowering inclusion, bridging gaps for social justice. Mr. Speaker, this emphasizes the importance for inclusive policies and social protections in addressing systematic challenges that we have faced as a people. Mr. Speaker, at the heart of this celebration are issues related to employment. Unemployment, if you have witnessed or you've lived through unemployment before, you realize that it's a major social issue that is worthy of highlighting. Mr. Speaker, the theme, Bridging the Gap for Social Justice, brings to bear an issue that is currently ongoing in our country. Mr. Speaker, it has to do with persons who have been gainfully employed, but today, for some reasons, have been asked to go home. Mr. Speaker, this I will not blame the current administration. Mr. Speaker, this has been with us for many years. In 2017, I suffered same. In fact, I got the opportunity to work at NHI, and within my own government, I was being denied access to work. So, Mr. Speaker, today, these young men and women who have been laid off have been asked to go home. Sometimes I wonder, are they going to go through the very situation that I went through in 2017? That today, the very reasons why we celebrate this remarkable day, which seems to be widening the very gaps we should be closing. Mr. Speaker, that is why I join the minority leader's appeal to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama that the era of tit for tat, the era of this is MPP's government, so we are going to work with MPP members. This is NDC government, so we are going to work with NDC members, has to come to an end. That practice ought to come to an end, Mr. Speaker. And what a day. I was thinking that one of the topics for discussion would be that resetting Ghana, bridging the gap through social justice. So that in the spirit of resetting Ghana, we are urging His Excellency the President not to look at the period for which these young men and women were employed. Today, they have been asked to go home. And we wonder, as they go to sit in their various homes, what really are they going to eat? How are they going to take care of their families? We should not allow partisanship to drive these young men and women to go home. Mr. Speaker, when it happened under the MPP, it was wrong. And it's important to make the point very clear.
Honorable Majority Chief Whip, are you rising on point of order?
Speaker, that is so. Speaker.
So, Honorable Member for Reprisal, let me listen to your point of order.
Speaker, I rise pursuant to Order 1221A and react in respect of the comments from the member for Reprisal to remind him that his comments are not supposed to degenerate into a debate. And, Mr. Speaker, the matters 3 days ago on this floor, similar comments from a colleague degenerated into a debate, and you ruled that this matter of termination of employment and all that it became a subject of a substantive statement from the minority leader. And it attracted relevant comments from members, and it was put to rest. And so the subsequent directive was that he himself, plus the majority leader, they will engage the chief of staff on this matter. So reopening those wounds, Mr. Speaker, will attract certainly a debate from our side. And I don't think that that is the path that he should take. That is a beaten path. He should depart from it. I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable Member, I think I've listened to the member with rapt attention. Honorable members, the statement on the floor is about social justice. And social justice is irrespective of the political party that you belong to. And the honorable member, in making his submission, indicated clearly what he suffered in 2017. And honorable members, I do not think this particular statement, the way he is putting it, is supposed to attract debate. So, honorable member, honorable majority, Chief Whip, I beg to differ. Honorable member, proceed and conclude.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I mean, admittedly, Mr. Speaker, so my plea on this day, that as we reflect on the day, there's the need to ensure fairness, there's the need to ensure equity, there's a need to ensure inclusive development. And in doing this, at the heart of it, is how people get to, for want of a word, chop, how their families are able to survive. And that is why I will not generate a debate. In fact, I use my case as an example. And the difficulties that I went through, even during an MPP government. It is not proper. It was not proper yesterday. It is not proper today. And it should not be proper tomorrow. In fact, one of these young ladies who have been laid off in one of the agencies called me 3 days today. On TikTok, she was very active, campaigning for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Most of these people who have been laid off, most of these people who have been laid off, we do not even know their political affiliation. And so on this day, Mr. Speaker, on this day, I appeal to the President. I appeal to the President. I appeal to the Chief of Staff that in the spirit of social inclusion, they should revise their stance on this mass dismissal. It will not help Ghana. It continues to set a very bad precedent, and it's important that as a people we come to the realization that tit for tat has no way. I mean, it will not help anybody, and we need to change our ways.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Your time is up.
Are gainfully employed.
Honorable Suleiman.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to these statements. But first of all, let me thank the makers of these statements, the World Day of Social Justice, with a team empowering inclusion, bridging gaps for social justice. What an important topic. Mr. Speaker, what are we talking about? We are talking about equal rights. We are talking about equal opportunity. We are calling about equal treatment. Mr. Speaker, the issues to look out for here, among others, include economic inequality, bridging the gap between the rich and the poor, racial injustice. Why should somebody's color deny him some opportunities? These are the issues that we try to address when we talk about social justice. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about gender injustice. Why should somebody's gender be a hindrance to the person's development and progress? And so this subject is a subject that should bother all of us. It's a subject that we need to attach seriousness to. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about disability injustice. Look at some of our buildings. When somebody is incapacitated, when somebody is suffering some kind of disability, even having access to some offices becomes a problem. These are the things that we should avert our minds to. Mr. Speaker, very soon, we are told that the budget will be read in this House. We need to interrogate the budget, and we need to look at the pro-poor programs in the budget. Let us look at those pro-poor programs and see how these programs will better the lives of the people. It takes two sides. It takes the two sides to look at the budget to ensure that whatever that we roll out there bring about some development, some progress in the lives of our people. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about bridging the gap between the poor and the rich. Mr. Speaker, we should be interested in coming out with policies that will give support to SMEs so that they are able to build upon their economic status. And when we do that, we will not even be interested in rolling out gifts, in rolling out grants to them. What we need to do is to create an environment where we can give support to these SMEs so that they can stand on their own. Mr. Speaker, let us be known to all of us here that we have passed a law, the Affirmative Action Law. This is the time to implement it. If we do that, it will go a long way to help us in fighting these social injustices that we see, especially when it has to do with gender, girls and women. Mr. Speaker, let me call on our religious organizations and our religious bodies to show interest in helping us fight this canker. All of us here attend mosques, we attend churches. The leaders of these religious organizations need to show interest in our welfare. And in doing so, Mr. Speaker, we will be making headway in the fight against injustice. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleague, Honorable. Yes, so he says I should call him my brother, and I call you OPK. Yes, I remember very well that you complained to me that you had this kind of experience. Very unfortunate. And I do agree with you that that's not the way to go. As a nation, we must look out for what is in the interest of all of us. But to do that, we must correct the wrongs. We must all agree to correct the wrongs. And if we don't correct the wrongs, these issues will continue to be with us. Mr. Speaker, we have laws in this country, and the laws allow us, the laws are clear. The law says that if you want to recruit, you advertise. If you advertise, that is social justice. You are giving equality to everybody. If you don't advertise, you are denying some people access. That is injustice. So if you don't advertise, and some people are recruited, and somebody draws your attention that because you have not advertised, you have infringed upon the rights of others, and that the right thing is done, that is not wrong. That is not for tight. That is correcting the wrong. And so if you have a situation where in this country, people are recruited into our services, the police service, immigration service, and what have you, no any advertisements. for several years. And when you talk, we are told that they did advert some years back, and so they are taking the backlog. I think that let's correct these issues and move ahead. But I do agree with you that we cannot continue on that path. With this, I want to thank the makers once again, and to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank all those who have contributed to this statement. And let me thank my minority leader for trying to heckle me, but I think that I've made my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the maker of the statement. Mr. Speaker, the issue of social justice is so true with us in particular. Given our diversity, ethnic diversity, given our diversity, religious diversity, tribal diversity, Mr. Speaker, and so on and so forth. So when we swear very respectfully to pursue the development of this country, Mr. Speaker, we swear to commit to the development of the diverse group of people who find themselves in this country. Mr. Speaker, and so this statement, in as much as it's true in terms of the globe in general, it is so true with the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, historically, there was a deliberate or a concerted effort to ensure that there was unity in this country, there was no discrimination, so that, very respectfully, regardless of where you come from, regardless of the religious group you belong to, you were not discriminated against. It does appear that with the advent of multi-party democracy, partisanship seems to have taken the front burner. And in our day-to-day lives, Mr. Speaker, it does appear that people are being discriminated on grounds of partisanship. Mr. Speaker, when respectfully you complain, the response is that it happened during our time, and so it is good that it is also happening today. Very soon, Mr. Speaker, our people are going to gang up against us if we are not careful. Very soon, Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter is that the opportunities available to people in this country, Mr. Speaker, is not the volume of it, the quantity, Mr. Speaker, is far less than the people in this country. And so the only way that, Mr. Speaker, we can satisfy our people is to create a merit-based society, a society where people will qualify because they are competent, a society where people will qualify not because they belong to a certain tribe, not because they go to a certain church, not because they belong to a certain political party. Mr. Speaker, increasingly our people are taking refuge in collecting certificates because they cannot see their way clear in this country. That is the truth. They get one master's degree, tomorrow they chase another master's degree, tomorrow they are chasing another master's degree because they can't see their way clear. They sit in organizations, Mr. Speaker, and they don't know whether they can rise to the positions of chief executive, to the positions of directors, simply because they don't belong to one political party or the other. Increasingly, we are building a society that is governed by incompetence rather than competence. Party cards have become certificates of qualification. This is what today this statement should call upon us to eschew, because we are sinking as a country as a result of that practice. We need to change. Irrespective of where we belong to, we must begin to create opportunities to our people based on merit. Based on merit. And it must start somewhere. We did it yesterday, it was wrong. Let us begin from somewhere. Mr. Speaker, We need to change. We need to change. And this is not for, we have all sinned. An eye for an eye will make the whole world go blind. Our society is sinking because of partisanship. So, Mr. Speaker,
You are happy, don't worry.
we need to begin to evaluate. We need to begin to evaluate our society and make amends from the judiciary, from our state-owned agencies, everywhere, Mr. Speaker. Let's begin to review what we have done in the past and make sure we chart a new course so that increasingly, Mr. Speaker, people will have hope that when they go to school, when they work hard, there is hope that one day they can become chief executives of our state-owned institutions without belonging to any political party. Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Dr. Sandari.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, at the very moment that we are contributing to this statement, there is a child somewhere in one community who is wondering where the next meal will come from, while another child somewhere in a city has taken breakfast, taken lunch, and has added snack. Mr. Speaker, as we talk, there's a mother, a pregnant mother somewhere in this country who is about to die because probably there's no doctor or a midwife to attend to her. While in another health facility, in another hospital, there are a number of doctors, specialists, midwives who probably are relaxing, waiting for a client to come. Mr. Speaker, junior high 3 students are preparing for their exams. Somewhere in Ghana, there are children in junior high 3 who has no teacher to teach them, while in another part of this country, there are a lot of teachers in the same class teaching students for them to write the same exams in June this year. Mr. Speaker, this is social injustice. The issue of social justice has nothing to do with which party you belong to and whether it's equalization and something happened in one government and therefore it should happen in another government. No, it is about addressing inequalities. It is about ensuring that there are equal opportunities, that every child everywhere has a right to basic quality education, that a patient everywhere in this country has a right to quality health care. Mr. Speaker, these are the issues that confront our society in this country, and those are the issues we must address. That everybody everywhere has a right, equal opportunities, and equal treatment. And our Constitution, in Chapter 6, has given us the foundation to address these issues of social injustice. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we contribute, as we debate, let's see how we bridge the gap of social injustice in this country, where the rich is getting richer and the poor is getting poorer. How do we bridge this gap? Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity, and let us reflect how we ensure that there's social justice in this country. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, Honorable, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this occasion of the World Day for Justice. I will add my voice to my colleagues here. Honorable Honorable spoke about the fact of some women in relation to this injustice. Again, when my other colleague was speaking, he also spoke about a child that was being asked a question. Equally shows that injustice affects mostly the women. When you read through the statement that was made by our honorable member for Ewutu Senya West, the strength of the statement was relevant and timely because, Mr. Speaker, it spoke about fairness, inclusion, and equity in Ghana. It equally spoke about the historical background and context in relation to the Berlin Conference and also that of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So it tells us the past and the present and the ongoing that we need to forge on to make sure that injustice put to stop. Again, there was a clear identification of the social injustice. That is the economic hardship, election violence, and human rights violation, and other assets that denies us this opportunity. It clearly also came about with a policy proposal and government commitment that indicated the 24-hour economy and the rest. Mr. Speaker, it's very important for us to look at some areas that we need to improve. Many of the honorable members spoke about partisan. We should be very objective and have much objective concerns when issues like this are being brought up for discussions. And again, I would like to add up some areas of consideration in relation to this day of celebration for the social justice as a human rights violation and civic rights. Mr. Speaker, we were here in the year 2023 when there was an arrest of as my honorable member Ewutu Senya mentioned, the Democracy Hub protested against the government. Mr. Speaker, this hinders the growth of social justice. Again, in the 2019 reference of the arrest in concern and contest again with Ahmed Swali, these as nation also come in context of the press freedom. Mr. Speaker, I cannot talk about this issue without the gender inequality and women's rights. Mr. Speaker, in Africa and Ghana inclusive, Mr. Speaker, you would find out some rural areas, out of 5, 1 of them are still into the child marriages. And again, even not looking far from ourselves in Parliament here, women representative in Parliament is poor. We have barely 14.5%, and this also hinder the growth of the country. If you look at reference of the Rwanda Parliament, we have over 53-54% of women. No wonder there is growth in the economy. And if we need to encourage ourselves and looking for the benefits and the betterment of the country, we should be very deliberate in helping and securing, helping leadership and encouraging women in leadership. Again, with the gender issues and human rights, the DOSU, that is domestic violence, DOSU annually reports of thousands of these issues. And it's something we need to pay much attention to. Trying to conclude, Mr. Speaker, access to health care and education. We have some policies of the National Health Insurance, but it lacks funds. This affects the low-incomers, and that is one thing we need to look at and make sure that we try to help ourselves within that policy. And again, on the educational side, you see there is a lot of shortage of teachers in the rural areas, and these do not help the growth of the economy. And as I end, Mr. Speaker, housing and land issues. We look at the rent even in Accra. We look at the land issues even in Kaswa. Land litigation everywhere. Matters of these and such discrimination of the marginalized people so that we can get access for them, people in disability. I think with this and many more, we would have a better position when it comes to social justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member. Honorable Member, you have the floor. You have the floor. Honorable Member, if you don't intend to comment, why are you on your feet to catch the eye of the Speaker?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, may I have your permission to yield to my colleague from Akwetia?
No, you don't have the permission.
Okay. That is fine. Then I'll proceed. Mr. Speaker, then I'll proceed. Right Honorable Speaker, then I'll proceed. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Social Justice Day. Social Justice Day.
Honourable members, order. Honourable members, take it clearly. When you want to contribute, then you get on your feet. You do not get on your feet to catch the eye of the Speaker. After recognizing you, then you said you want to yield to another member. It doesn't happen in any parliament. Therefore, if you are not ready to comment on the statement, you must not be on your feet.
Right,
Honourable members, democracy must be guided. Honourable member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to speak on this issue of social justice. Mr. Speaker, Ghana, like most countries, faces a lot of systemic injustice. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to use this opportunity to comment or to discuss the issue of disabled persons in Ghana. Per the Disability Act 217 of 2006 and Article 29 of the 1992 Constitution, which ensures that disabled people have access to non-discrimination to education, employment, and housing, and also accessibility to public transport and public buildings. Mr. Speaker, as we can tell today, in Ghana, disabled persons face a lot of systemic inequalities. Many buildings and services remain inaccessible to disabled persons. When you look at public
Honourable
transportation...
members on their feet, kindly resume your seat.
When we look at transportation, disabled persons don't have equal access to transportation. When you come to Isikado Ketan constituency and you go to Kojo Krom, Kansarodo, or in Tankofer, disabled persons don't have equal access to public transportation. Mr. Speaker, I recommend that we look into accessibility of public transport and specifically public housing for our disabled persons in Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to comment on this, and also thank my fellow colleagues, my fellow honorables, for bringing up this very important issue to the fore, and I hope that we will take a very good look at social justice for all Ghanaians. Thank you again.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And let me commend the makers of the statement for bringing this statement to bear, or this subject matter to bear. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this is a topic that requires attention and action. And it will interest all of us to know that the Constitution and other laws alike especially other international instruments, guarantees this right to us as a people. But historically, most people have suffered social injustice, not because they do not have the protective right, but because we politicians ourselves, over the period, have become culprits and victims of this social injustice. Mr. Speaker, today, as we speak, I'm happy that this discussion is being had in this Parliament dispassionately. Just last week, a simple request for procedural fairness from the minority leader on behalf of a former minister of this republic degenerated into a debate on this floor. And as I sat in my chair, I asked myself, for how long will we keep doing this to ourselves? Because today it is me, tomorrow it could be you. And as we keep arguing along the way, I ask myself that if the Constitution guarantees that at least we need to be fair to ourselves, why can't we allow and ask for a simple procedural fairness to happen? Other speakers have spoken already on other things that do happen to us as politicians. The protocol conundrum that we politicians keep giving to people is also increasingly becoming a challenge to us in this country. And to quote the Honorable Dr. Kumbo, who had said previously in other public domains, until you are injected by an incompetent doctor or nurse for you to die, that is when you know that we need to begin to advocate for fairness and equal opportunity and access for people. Mr. Speaker, just this morning, I was asked by a journalist within this precinct of Parliament that he wants to know that are we waiting, or for how long will we wait until when a president wins an election in this country and the opponent goes to court just to challenge that person unfairly and to just deny that person that right that is due him? Mr. Speaker, in order not to sound prejudicial, I refuse to comment on the matter. But I want all of us to take note.
Order. Honourable members, order.
Mr. Speaker, I want all of us to take note that this discussion that we are having here should not be one that we are just having it today and let it slide. It should bring to fore meaningful thought and discussion, where citizens, policy makers, and CSOs will all come together to advance social justice in this country, and especially to me as the MP for Akwetia in this country. Thank you.
Honourable members, order. Honourable members, order. Honourable members, you need not be on your feet before you say here, here. You can do so while sitting. Your back. Leadership.
Mr. Speaker, today appears to be a day for the first timers. Clearly, what it means is that this chamber has a great future, where you have first-timers and some senior members making a statement and hearing contributions. Mr. Speaker, before I get into my own contributions, I want to remind colleagues that we need to exercise, because when we stand, we have to stand upright and make our statement. People are always bending. It means you can't stand on your waist. No, you need to stand. Whether a lady or gentleman, stand firm. If there's a problem, let's exercise. We have to exercise so that when we're on our feet, we're able to stand very firm and upright.
Honorable Minority Leader, the statement before us is on social justice.
That is true, Mr. Speaker. A good health will contribute to. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the honorable members who made this statement drew our attention to a number of issues affecting society. Mr. Speaker, I would want to adopt the three statements from the members as though same were coming from me and rely on all of them for records. Except to say that, Mr. Speaker, I don't want this House to be drawn into the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. That conflict has its own history, and we need to be very cautious in drawing that conflict into our discussion in this House floor. And it's for the reason that I believe Honorable Gansa, although his statement was well intended, the way it came up, it created a certain impression. And I just want the record to reflect that this House is not taking sides in that conflict. We only pray that there will be justice for all in that enclave. Mr. Speaker, each day in my prayer, I pray for peace in the Middle East, guided by St. Francis of Assisi's prayer. I, being a Catholic, I always rely on that important prayer by St. Francis, where he calls for the Lord to make us an instrument of his peace. So, Mr. Speaker, our prayer is that wherever there is injustice, the God Almighty himself, the Lord Almighty himself, would lead the discussions that will lead to peace, so that there will be fairness for all. Mr. Speaker, the first maker of the statement, the respected member Nakoyo Kuno of Awutu Senya East. Mr. Speaker, she shared her own experiences. Mr. Speaker, we need to take steps as a people to address the way we do politics in this country. Some of us don't tell our stories, but we all know the things sometimes we go through. The attacks, the unfair treatment, the way we are manhandled, and all. But it appears that sometimes when injustice benefits somebody, the person is in a hurry to go to God, to church, to thank God, and sees him as blessing. But when the next day he is at the receiving end, you see the person crying for people to save him. For how long should that continue in our country? I have my own experience in Winneba in 2012. It took the Lord's intervention for me to be here. Somebody came to a close range with a pistol, all because I was campaigning. And I was lucky that he couldn't shoot. I don't know the mystery and the miracle behind it. Close range. I went through other situations that time will not permit me to recount. People are suffering injustice. Sometimes even our judiciary, the way our judges approach cases that come before them. For my years at the bar, I know that when there is an application pending before a court of justice, will always deal with that interrogatory matter before coming to the substantive matter and ensure that there is fairness. For my years of practice, I know that when there is an application before a superior court raising issues of bias, the court below would at least wait for the supervisory jurisdiction which is being invoked to be considered and determined before dealing with the matter before him, all in the interest of fairness and justice. Are we experiencing that in all situations? I beg to say that no. So, Mr. Speaker, if we are calling for a fair society, then it shouldn't be.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, sir.
With all due respect, that is not automatic. Looking at the practice and procedure in CI 47, you have a right to put in an application for stay of proceedings pending the determination of the matter at the court above.
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. Not to disagree with you, but the example that I'm citing also has in it an application for stay of proceedings. An application for stay of proceedings. And in the light of an application for stay of proceedings, a judge goes ahead to say that a counsel should move his main application and goes ahead to determine the matter when there is an application for stay of proceedings pending. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to strongly make this point. And I regret that this is coming at a time that I find myself in the minority front bench. It's very regrettable because some people may see my views as being too rich, but it's the reality of the day. As a country, you must not repeat that vicious cycle of you did it to me, I will do it to you. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I said something in an interview that sometimes the political class forgets that when an election is won, the mandate is for them to develop the nation and not to go after opponents. But since 1992, it appears we've not learned lessons from this. I recall when Kufuor won, we had comments on the streets of Accra. I was a young student then, that, oh, NDC, Omumbebio, NDC party negu. But 8 years down the line, NDC was back. When we had 169, similar comments. And we know the story today. So I am saying that some of the injustices that Ghanaians experience because of political affiliation must end. And I am not here to pick and choose. Mr. Speaker, Professor Mills of blessed memory made an effort on this imbalance. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, let me share this. I was into transport business, and I had a lot of trucks plying Awasu to Takrade. And I was a known MPP person. And when MPP lost, some people made it a point to be stopping my trucks. One of the shareholders of the company was close to the government of the day. He tells me that he managed to inform the then president and the then vice president. And immediately they gave instructions that no, that is not right for the country. That somebody has gone to take a loan to buy trucks, doing his business, and because he's an MPP, they should stop his business. Mr. Speaker, that effort was made. I remember, and I'll state it for public record. But would extremists allow moderate centrists in our political space to do their work to help with justice and fairness in society? We, the voices of reason, must prevail on those hardliners to understand that destroying an opponent is not the way to go. Mr. Speaker, why should somebody be afraid of a change in power because of fear of injustice? Mr. Speaker, the business community, sometimes I look at some businesses, and because I'm in the private sector, I know about this. A lot of Ghanaian businesses are tagged MPP, NDC, but you have these foreign entities owned by Indians, Israelis, Syrians, British, Americans. Their business remain untouched, whether it's MPP or NDC, and they are foreigners. When they make their profit, they move their money out. When the Ghanaian makes his profit, it remains here. A Ghanaian businessman is often tagged. Mr. Speaker, my respected member from Kwesimintim, who is now learning the rules, must learn to be quiet.
Honorable member for Kwesimintim.
He's gaining notoriety for this. Stop it. And he wears sunglasses in this chamber. Stop. You don't wear sunglasses in the Chamber of Parliament. That was not part of the rent. Speaker has cautioned you. You are still shouting.
Honorable member for Kwesimintim, if you don't want to be withdrawn from the chamber, let your conduct be orderly.
So, Mr. Speaker, businessmen, local businessmen, are always in fear. Their businesses are always being a target of injustice, political attacks. Whereas foreign businesses, Mr. Speaker, you find their embassies moving to promote their businesses, and our local businesses will be suffering. Why should there be a society like this? Mr. Speaker, the makers of the statement talked about economic rights, that our citizens have a right to be employed, and I dare emphasize that these are far rights. Economic rights are far rights. A right that when you have the qualification, you stand an equal chance of being considered is a far right. We have heard that in 2017 that there were comments by some political leaders on our side, and we'll be very honest with the facts here. We will not pretend or be hypothetical. Facts are facts. If we want to address these matters for proper steps tomorrow, we need to speak to the issue. But, Mr. Speaker, the issue about Honorable Osafo that people refer to, I must say that indeed, when he made those statements, nothing of the sort happened. And I would want members who have contrary views to make those available. At least the mass dismissals we are experiencing.
Honorable Minority Leader,
was
at your back. Honorable Yao Patrick Yao Obama is on his feet.
That is always a right to be exercised and a discretion for you to enforce.
Yes.
So I yield to you. What is your pleasure, Mr. Speaker?
Thank you very much. Honorable is on his feet.
That is fair.
Are you on point of order?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. Point of information, Mr. Speaker. On Standing Order 93.5, whether it's still being enforced. That's all I want to know from you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, strictly being enforced.
So, Mr. Speaker, in the said situation, we didn't see the mass dismissal we are seeing today. But, Mr. Speaker, granted that it even happened as a nation, do we need it? The situation we find ourselves, Mr. Speaker, as a country, requires that all of us, especially those who are moving from left of center, right of center, and believe that, look, the country must move in a certain path, must be loud in their views. Because 4 years is not far from today. 20 years is not far from today. 30 years is not far from today. Mr. Speaker, I'm not here to talk politics, but I'm here to address a situation that is confronting us as a nation. And we are the people's representative. Granted that yesterday...
Honorable Minority Leader, you know the rules that you have to address the chair.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, granted that even yesterday it happened, and I did not see reason to address it. It does not stop me from addressing today or for the good of our collective tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, that said, the respected colleague who is a medical doctor, Dr. Sandari, made a contribution and talked about healthcare. Mr. Speaker, we stay in Accra and we think Accra has everything and Ghana is a happy home. Mr. Speaker, it's not. The poverty out there. I travel through the countryside and I still see Atakwame buildings. Mr. Speaker, mad houses. I went to my village, our village, you and I, our village, Nyakonokwe. I was there, New Year, after visiting Chairman. I went to the village where I grew up, visited the family, and I saw poverty. No hospital, no water. In my own constituency, there are places that you see poverty. What he said is true. Today, people, though there is health insurance, because they cannot afford, they still resort to the traditional midwives. And they die and they attribute it to some other causes and they bury them quietly. This is not the promises that are enshrined in the Constitution. The promises that are enshrined in the Constitution include equal opportunity, justice, fairness, and it is for us as a political class to enforce these promises. We shouldn't pay lip service to these promises. It is a Ghanaian dream, a dream that the forebearers envisaged, and our duty as a ninth parliament is to lead in the process. So, if today is a commemorative day for social justice, this country must take it serious. A member for Awutu Senya East, where once upon a time I was a presiding member, has told us in clear terms that many people are going through challenges. But she was quick to assure us that this government is ready to put in place some policies to address these concerns. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, what she has said has become part of public record. And she has spoken as a member of the majority party and for and on behalf of government. And when it comes to accountability, we are going to associate ourselves with the statement and then, through government assurance, see to the implementation of these promises. So, Honorable Koyo Kuno, it is your duty, because you have made a very profound statement in very veritable words, and you've given assurances that this government is going to ensure that certain steps are taken in addressing social injustice. We look forward to that. Mr. Speaker, without more, let me thank all the makers of the statement and thank the various contributors, especially the first-timers. The first-timers of this parliament have shown promise. I've seen a lot of determination, both sides, seeing their CVs, and when they're on their feet, it's as though they've done 2 terms or 3 terms. The confidence level, very high. We commend you. Continue with your research. There's a time for you to be doing more statements and be filing more questions. Let's get the national issues on the front burner. It doesn't matter your party. And let us hold the feet of government to the fire, not in the negative sense, but in the positive sense, all for the good of the people. Mr. Speaker, without more, let me thank you for this treasure space.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Chief Whip, you have the floor.
Speaker, what else can I say than to thank you for the opportunity to comment on the joint statements. Joint because, Speaker, one from the minority side, 2 from our side, in commemoration of today. Speaker, the United Nations organization has a whole commission on social justice. It's such an important concept in our modern governance anywhere. And somebody may ask, what does social justice mean? Speaker, it means the opportunity to have equal rights, economic, political, religious, cultural, and the law. Speaker, it therefore becomes a barometer by which every government or every nation's governance structure and systems are measured. And leaving the generals to the specifics, of course we will measure our governance structure back home by invoking these very indexes. Speaker, yours truly, at variance with social justice. My residential home under construction, it was pulled down by operatives of government. There was no social justice, no court order, no court process. Somebody just exercised executive power of state arbitrarily. Speaker, my own uncle, the Venerable Hodari Okai, he was unfairly dismissed, fairly terminated from Ghana Immigration Service, and he proceeded to court. He obtained judgment. It took so long for the judgment debt to be paid to him. That was no social justice. It was not. Mr. Speaker, there are members on this side. Just a couple of months ago, we were here. Their homes were raided by operatives of the state without recourse to law. That was no social justice. Mr. Speaker, social justice must resonate in everything that we do as a people and as a state. It's the only way we can ensure fairness. Speaker, exactly 8 years ago, 2017, 10 February, or thereabout, the then newly appointed and confirmed Minister of Health, the Honorable Kwekwa Jumamenu, he wrote and terminated the appointment of 8,634 health personnel, nurses and other health personnel recruited into the health service without recourse to even the time of recruitment. I have the letter, I can show it to you. 10 February 2017. That was no social justice. It was not. As we speak, those employees whose employment and social benefits, socio-economic benefits are consequent upon those employment that were suspended, they remain in suspension. As we speak, they are sitting at home, they are grieving. That was no social justice. And so I agree with you, minority leader. I am saying so. But I didn't hear your high heaven cries in 2017. You were a formidable member of this house. So I agree that there must be a convergence zone. In plain language, there must be a convergence zone where we must do the appropriate things.
Honorable Minority Leader, don't engage the member on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, indeed, in April 2017, recruits that were undergoing training in the Sinfosu Ghana Immigration Training School, who had started training the November of the year before, they were not graduated. They were asked to go home. They have not been returned as we speak. So, Mr. Speaker, let me take the House a bit back into time. In 2001, the most common cliche on the streets of Accra and by extension, Ghana was proceed on leave. Yes, 2001, many public servants who had served within the public service, some for 20 years prior, 10 years prior, 15 years prior, they were simply asked to proceed on leave, just to go home, without recourse to lay down procedure. That was no social justice. That was no social justice.
Honourable members, order.
So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that today is such an auspicious day that going forward, we must have recourse to standards, basic requirements, procedures, so that when Ghanaians of all shades of life, of tribal origin, cultural origin, religious coloration, and are qualified, they should find space in the public sector and contribute their quota without any recourse to, Mr. Speaker, I shudder to say it, but to political consideration. I am very happy that my brother touched on the issue of judicial tardiness in terms of matters before the courts. That, Speaker, you being our senior at the bar, when a matter is before the court, the plaintiff, whoever the plaintiff is, it's immaterial. The same alacrity, zeal, speed that is brought to bear in dealing with all other matters must be exercised fairly in respect of all the cases before the courts. So yes, social justice today will speak in commemoration of that. But Speaker, I believe that I'll urge you to, in closing this matter, to give some general direction that as a nation, as a people, we should be guided by it. That is what ensures fairness. And not because of the length of my name, for instance, which summarily will point you to where I originate from this country. But giving the even playing field so we can exhibit our qualities as Ghanaians. My brother, the Chief Whip, speaks impeccable Ewe because he grew up among Ewes and attended Bishop Eman. And I got the opportunity to join him in the University of Cape Coast. So my Fante is pristine. And today we are here. That is the social cohesion that we have enjoyed and it's benefited us. So today you may see us, but like the elders will say, we are like two cockerels. We may be fighting, but we watch our eyes. We can't punch our eyes because we are brothers to the core. We may have our political dispensations, but by all means, let us be guided by simple standards so that every government has the power to exercise the executive power of state. So by all means, recruit. But I would love that we will be guided. There's always space in the public sector. So, Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the makers. This is a major reminder to all of us that we must always think of the people and do what will be of social benefit, socio-economic, political, cultural benefit to them. So whatever social intervention programs that we implement as a people and as a government, it must go to benefit the people. I thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the makers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I wish to add my voice to these very important statements ably made on social justice to mark the World Social Justice Day. Honorable members, social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights and opportunities. Honorable members, social justice is a foundation for national development, peace, and stability. It is about ensuring that everybody, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, religion, economic status, physical ability, is treated equally. Social justice is a guide against all forms of discrimination. Honorable members, it is said that justice must not only be done, but it must manifestedly and undoubtedly be seen to be done. It is therefore the responsibility of all of us to work together to ensure that social justice prevail in the country. I once again thank the makers of the statement. Now, members, we have another statement in honor of Abdul Kabiru Tahir Mahama, Doctor, MP for Wale Wale constituency, on curfew on Wale Wale and security personnel brutalities of residents. Is the honorable member around?
Speaker is here.
Very well. Honorable member, you have the floor.
Here. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to make this statement on a rather unfortunate development in the Wale Wale constituency, the skirmishes that have led to the needless loss of lives, the act of lawlessness by the security personnel, and then subsequent imposition of curfew on Wale Wale and its environs. But before I proceed, Mr. Speaker, I want to convey my sincerest condolences to the families of the several innocent lives that have been lost due to the unfortunate developments. Mr. Speaker, the people of Wale Wale and its environs are now living in pain, apprehension, and fear. Therefore, the right decision must be taken at the right time. So, Mr. Speaker, I do not take this opportunity offered me lightly. Mr. Speaker, it is a notorious fact that criminal activities on the highway between Bolgatanga and Tamale, which passes through Wale Wale, is now a subject of national security. Before that, on rampage and brutalized several people who were leisurely sitting at a popular NDC base. Mr. Speaker, whilst the frustration of the security personnel is understandable, the professionalism required of them was betrayed. They were utterly careless, and a minute of due diligence could have saved the situation. Mr. Speaker, even though the military later on apologized for the unfortunate incident, the encouragement of civilian space by the military is a recipe for disaster if it is not curtailed. Mr. Speaker, the first recent reprisal attack of a vehicle occurred on the 10th February 2025 around Wulugu on the Bolga-Wale Wale route, where a vehicle was allegedly set ablaze. The second attack occurred on the 12th February 2025 in the Wale Wale township, and the most recent occurred on the 14th February 2025. As I stated, all these had corresponding attacks on the Bolgatanga, Boku, Pulmankom route. The reaction of the military in these two incidents, in the case of Wale Wale, Mr. Speaker, was to beat up anyone on site on the main highway. Innocent residents of Kukwa, Logri, Wale Wale, Dimsi, and Wulugu, all communities along the highway were mercilessly beaten, resulting in the loss of one life. 2 journalists were also assaulted. Mr. Speaker, the actions of the military are distasteful as the attack of travelers by the criminals. By their actions, the military is complementing the criminal adventure of the bandits on the highway and must be investigated and perpetrators brought to book. Mr. Speaker, these recent reprisal attacks have caused the Minister of Interior to impose a curfew on Wale Wale and its environs. This decision is heavy-handed and the first of its kind to be imposed on a community that is relatively peaceful without prejudice to the activities of the bandits in the area, within the area. There is no conflict in Wale Wale or its environs. There is no factional war or fight within the constituency without which it would escalate. It does not make sense to punish residents in those communities because most of them are just victims. What is even surprising, Mr. Speaker, is that all the attacks occur on the Wale Wale road during the daytime, outside the curfew hours. Mr. Speaker, I now make some proposal to ensuring peace and stability. Mr. Speaker, while appealing for the review of the curfew on Wale Wale, let me put on record that it is the principle that matter. Constituents that I represent on this matter are mixed tribe. Arguable, many of them are not Mampusis. So it is important we leave about politics and tribe on this matter. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I appeal that government lifts the curfew to bring life to normalcy in Wale Wale. Mr. Speaker, I have few suggestions that I think the government should consider in the interim while the relevant authorities deal with the underlying cause of the conflict. Number one, the Interior Minister should enhance the patrols and escort for travelers in the affected routes. I understand that vehicles are attacked under military or police escort in some of these areas, but this has never happened in the case of Wale Wale, and I believe it is workable. Number two, the police intelligence units must be deployed to affected areas to identify perpetrators akin to the approach they use in arresting armed robbers. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the police service should enhance community engagement to elicit community support towards fighting the activities of these criminals. A call for direction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to appeal to you to direct that a full-scale investigation be carried out to delve into the death of 2 persons in the last 2 weeks in the hands of the security. This will bring justice to the families of the deceased. I make this application considerate of the fact that the police are already investigating the attack and murder of innocent travelers through Bolgatanga-Wale Wale-Tamale route. Mr. Speaker, thank you once again for the opportunity to make this statement, and I will kindly urge on you to consider this application as duly submitted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, let me be frank with you. This particular statement went through a lot of discussion before its admittance. And therefore, we are going to be very, very circumspect in the comments. So the statement has been made, it has been captured, but I will only restrict it to leadership to make comments on it. We should know so leadership, I will make you to comment, but you are also advised to be guided, please. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, let me thank you and the First Deputy, as you rightly observed, that this morning we had to engage extensively to come to some good conclusion on the same matter. I show complete solidarity to our colleague and his constituents. Quite unfortunate. Speaker, we've heard in the media space a reportage on this same matter, and I am happy that Parliament has found space for it to be entertained. We've read reports of excesses, some excess action staged on the part of the military and some security agencies, allegedly. So, first of all, I think the national security outfit would have to up their surveillance, patrol, and activities in these areas aforementioned. It's equally important that we comment more responsibly on this subject matter, so that the matter doesn't get out of hand, the matter is controlled, to a good conclusion. I have a lot of confidence in our minister, our own colleague, the Honorable Muntaka, who has shown promise in such subject matters. The House must show leadership, though, Speaker. Quite unfortunate, we don't have our Committee on Defense and Interior constituted. We also don't have our Committee on Intelligence constituted. So in the absence of that, what do we do so that we can still navigate properly and be security conscious and not to allow the matter to degenerate? Speaker, I dare suggest that it's important Parliament doesn't rest on its oars. We need to go in. We are the representative of the people, regardless of the fact that we have security experts in these matters. We must also bring our experience to bear and help the security outfit to navigate properly. To that end, I would wish to suggest that, Speaker, you give some consequential directives. This matter is raging on day by day. And my fear is that until something is done collectively from the outfit of Parliament and the outfit of our security agencies, it may degenerate. And we may come back to talk about this same matter and lament about it. So probably we can have a closed sitting. And because the military has also been mentioned in same matter, it is no more of an internal security concern. We can bring the Interior Minister and the Defense Minister at the same platform to carry us along. And Speaker, it should not be one-off. It should not just be one-off. We have to sustain a monitoring effort. The next 1 month or two, there should be a regular briefing on the same subject matter, and it's important the security agencies and Parliament collaborate. It's unfortunate the needless loss of lives in these areas, and then the maker of the statement, the Honorable Kabiru, posits that the imposition of curfew, I'm not a security expert, but he gives a certain background which comes to support his conclusion that the imposition of curfew at Wale Wale is suspect, and therefore it has to be reviewed. I cannot sit here and draw judgment. He is a member of Parliament from the area, and I'm sure he has good reasons to say what he said. But be as it may, I think we should, Speaker, as a matter of urgency, program the Defense Minister and the Interior Minister to appear before this House, and for us to get some briefing, and then this House will also be positioned, and the Member of Parliament can make the necessary input to help navigate the situation. We cannot wait until it gets out of hand. And we can only thank God that the matter hasn't degenerated so badly. But it's urgent that if we don't do anything about it, more lives will be lost, economic activity will be brought to an abrupt end, which will not benefit us as a country. So, Speaker, without more, I will only want to suggest that you give us some directives and ensure that we get the two ministers, both Interior and Defense, to attend upon this House at a closed sitting, mainly because of the subject matter, at a closed sitting, for us to purgate and engage appropriately on the same subject matter. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Majority Leadership.
Speaker, let me seek your leave to defer to the Honorable Tobu on this matter. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Peter, I hope you take into consideration the earlier caution. So the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and let me thank leadership for yielding to me to make very important comments, as I feel very strongly about the statement that has just been delivered by my brother, the Honorable MP for Wale Wale, Dr. Kabiru. Mr. Speaker, as to whether the issue in Wale Wale is of pure criminal nature or it is a spillover
of the Boko conflict, we will leave that one to the security agencies to investigate. But come what may, the loss of every single life in this country on matters of conflict is so needless, to say the least. The issue between Wale Wale and Bolgatanga, or Tamale and Bolgatanga, is taking a different dimension. He's made some important recommendations that the police intelligence department should be doing better by deploying more. He also requested that the curfew that is imposed should be looked at very carefully. Whatever it is, Mr. Speaker, as cautious as we want to be, Plato had it right when he said the greatest form of injustice is pretended justice. When we know what is right, and we all close our eyes to the truth and go around talking over years about what the problem is and not willing to nip it in the bud, these are some of the things that will happen. I want to believe that the suggestions made by the Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Arnold Ompre, that we should allow the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, in a closed sitting, for them to give us update as what is happening in northern Ghana, particularly in relation to the Boko area. That is now gradually becoming a Boko area, including the Wale Wale area. I think it's a matter of worry to all of us. But I also want to recommend that apart from the Defense Minister and the Interior Minister, we should get the two chairmen of the two regional security councils involved. The chairman of the Upper East Regional Security Council and the chairman of the Northeast Regional Security Council, for them to come and brief this House. What is actually going on? How can we come together as a nation to ensure that this matter is nipped in the bud? Pretended justice is the greatest form of injustice. And as cautious as I am, Mr. Speaker, I want to draw the curtains here, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yes, honorable members, I think the request that we invite the Minister for Interior and that of Defense, I will leave it with the Business Committee to schedule him somewhere next week to come and brief us. I know next week the President of the Republic will be here.
Speaker, just for clarity, his prayer was for Defense and Interior. So it will be both of them?
Yes.
Okay, because I heard you say one, so...
No, I said
Defense
Interior and that of Defense, yes. So please schedule them and let them come. If the matter is so sensitive that we have to have them in closed sitting, we will do that. So I'll leave it with the Business Committee. But meanwhile, let me urge the member to also have personal discussions with the Minister for Interior and even that of Defense. See, some of these things at times is, we handle it personally as you are actually responsible for the people of Wale Wale. Please have personal and direct discussion with the ministers. It's also very important while we invite them to come and brief the House. Yes.
We're trying to help you to navigate. I would have wished, because of the nature of the subject matter and the fact that it is having a spillover in adjourning constituencies. As we got his constituency is just one of the constituencies affected. I am also aware he's already engaged our colleague, the Honorable Muntaka, on the subject matter. I would have wished that we give them next week, Wednesday. So instead of, with respect, giving it to the Business Committee, I would have wished a directive comes from you that next week, Wednesday or Thursday. I'm aware His Excellency the President will be here on Thursday. So we can probably be working towards Wednesday. Speaker, if you find
well, I wouldn't mind doing that, but yes.
Speaker, the business committee met today and has planned for next week already. But this coming under statements, it can be accommodated under briefing. So let me humbly suggest that let's relate this matter to the two ministers and gather their convenience. It has to be a convert convenience. So once they confirm that, then we can accommodate them anytime next week when that is convenient for them. So my brother, be assured that as soon as the convenience is okay, because we want them to be here. We don't want excuses. So when both of them can come, then we can arrange them to appear and brief the House.
I am in total agreement with my colleague, except to say that this is the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And the practice has been that we often give them dates where they have difficulty. The ministers, they get back to us. They get back to Parliament to say that the date is not convenient. And I think if we go by that practice, instead of, with respect to my colleague, saying that at their convenience, we as Parliament should be giving them a date and then to hear from their side. I think if we approach it in that manner, it's of best practice, and that has been the practice over the years.
Okay.
Speaker, I could say that, Speaker, I could pray that they should appear tomorrow, Friday, because of the urgent nature of the matter. But I want to avoid that and yet be able to get them to come timeously to brief the House. That is why I'm praying, my brother, that let me engage formally and see the nature of their schedules for next week. Because we are not bringing one, we are bringing both of them. So please, we'll accommodate them next week. We'll accommodate them next week.
It's not a good practice, with respect. It's not a good practice when we as Parliament will have to expect a date from the ministers. We have to give them date, and then they respond. We got respect.
But Honourable Deputy Minority Whips, you see, at times it's also become a bit of a worry if you schedule a minister who probably might have also done his own schedules somewhere, and therefore you will be expecting the person will be away. So as much as we will not bring Parliament to its lowest level, that we will ask people to actually dictate to us. But at times it's also better to negotiate and see the program of the minister. So, Honourable Majority Chief Whip, we will leave it with you. Quickly get back, if you can get back to us tomorrow, so that tomorrow, based on that, we can tell the House when we will get the ministers.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we'll do that. I'm certain that by tomorrow, presentation of business statements, this matter will be properly clarified as to when they can come next week. So I thank you for the opportunity.
You see, the executive must respect the chief whip. This is the chief whip, the majority chief whip. It's important the ministers respect him, and we are helping you to be respected. The ministers will not sit at the comfort of their offices and say that we will come next week as and when we have time. No, Chief will give them time and tell them that Parliament needs them. Yes, we must give you the power. We have to support you. We must support you to succeed. You are the Chief Whip. You are the majority Chief Whip. Let the ministers respect you.
Speaker. Speaker, I agree with my brother. So we'll convey the strong sentiments of the House and the request that both ministers appear jointly to brief the Speaker. The requirement of joint briefing, yes, the requirement of joint briefing It's why it's pretty difficult to give assurance today as to next week. But I can give the assurance by tomorrow during business statement that I have conferred with them. Both of them have put their heads together and they will appear on so and so day. So that is settled. Speaker, relatedly, the Honorable Member for Nkwanta South also presented a statement in respect of some conflict situation in his area. And that day, the indication, his prayer was that it will be referred to a committee for them to look into it. The referral wasn't done. So we are praying that if that can be consequentially done.
Well, let's take it so.
It was made on the 5th of February.
Very well.
In respect to Nkwanta South, also a conflict situation.
Honourable members, I think we'll bring the curtains down for the day. So, honourable leadership, if you wouldn't mind, may you move for the adjournment.
Speaker, thank you. Speaker, in the absence of any further business, I move that the House be adjourned for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honourable minority leadership.
I'm hesitant to second, but for some good reason, I rise to second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion to adjourn the House has been moved and has been seconded. The question is, all those in favour that today's sitting be adjourned to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon, say aye. All those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and the House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon. The House stands adjourned.